mission in Kyrgyzstan, mission to the cities, and mission in Quebec, Canada. All this and much more coming up next. Hello and welcome to Mission 360. I'm Gary Krause. On today's program, we're going to be looking at mission here in Quebec City, in the province of Quebec in Canada. We're also going to travel to various parts of the world, such as Kyrgyzstan and Sri Lanka. But first up, let's look at the challenge of mission to the cities.
One of the biggest mission challenges today is that of the call to reach the cities. Many of the world's largest cities are in the least reached parts of the world, where few Adventist members or Christians from any background are living. But even in countries where the church has a strong presence, the large cities have very few Adventist members. In the book Ministry to the Cities, Ellen White wrote, "When the cities are worked as God would have them, the result will be the setting and operation of a mighty movement." No doubt, this is something we would all love to see. So what if you hear God's call to help reach a city, but you don't know where to begin? Ellen White offered this wisdom from the life of Jesus. Christ's method alone will give true success in reaching the people. The Savior mingled with men as one who desired their good. He showed his sympathy for them, ministered to their needs, and won their confidence. Then he bade them, "Follow me." As we set out to reach the cities, the best thing we can do is follow Christ's method. There are many groups of people you could choose to reach out to in your city. You could reach out to new moms or to university students. You could reach out to the homeless or to the wealthy. Perhaps you have a heart to serve your city's most vulnerable residents. If so, here are some ideas of how you could serve in your city. First, you could offer assistance to struggling families with new babies through a clothing lending library, as church members have done in Auckland, New Zealand. Or you could provide furniture to refugees when they arrive in your area. Adventists in Atlanta in the United States have made a big difference for many families in this way. Maybe you want to offer cooking and nutrition classes to children, as is being done in Haifa, Israel. These children will build skills that will help them grow strong and healthy. Or offer homeless people a place to wash their clothes, to shower, and to get a healthy meal. Adventists in Guatemala City, Guatemala are serving in this simple but life-changing way. You could also hold regular activities for people with Alzheimer's or for their caregivers. The church in Taipei, Taiwan serves its residents in this beautiful way. If you'd like to learn more about these projects or get more ideas for serving the most vulnerable, visit the Mission to the Cities website and click Serve Your City. Find ways you can serve and pray that others will also get involved. Using Christ's method and empowered by His Spirit, we will reach the cities. Then watch out, because as we already know, the result will be the setting in motion of a mighty movement.
My guest is Dr. Marianne Lemay, who is a lay member here in Quebec. Thanks for joining us today. And can you please describe the center that we are in at the moment?
Yeah, of course. Actually, this center has been thought about a few years ago, 2014, 2015. And the purpose of this center is to give the community some services that they need. So it can be with health, it can be with helping the youth to get some qualifications to take care of themselves and other kids, and cooking classes or depression recovering and all that. That's what we offer the community around here.
So why didn't you just build a normal church building?
Well, we thought, actually the group, our church thought at that time that just to have a building that serves us once or twice a week and just be there without having any contact with the community wouldn't be the purpose actually that a Christian might have to really maintain a good relationship with the population around around the church and around himself. So we thought that to offer a population a service was one of the best way to get in contact with it and to maintain a good relationship. The first purpose is not to make them Christian. The first purpose is to make them know that actually some people have the love of God inside of them, and it can change their own lives first, and then it can reach out to other people.
So, Dr. Marianne, you're actually, for viewers of this program, they know that you're singing my song, because churches are often the most expensive real estate that's used once a week. Mm-hmm. And to hear that you are concerned about reaching the community. So you have a beautiful facility here, you have rooms, you have seminar rooms, conference rooms. You must have a church of a few hundred people to support this, right?
I would like it, but the reality is that we're about 20, maybe 25 members. So we are a small group, but I guess those people are really committed, and I'm part of them, of course. We are really committed to make something happen, to serve. And the most actually encouraging thing is that I think the first people that we saw change is not them, it's us.
Ah, interesting.
And it makes us more aware of people's need and how to relate to them, how to really help them. Not to just feed them what we think they need, but really feed them what they need.
Mm. So how did you find out what the needs of the community were?
We did a few steps into this. We tried to reach people from the village where we are. We're into actually. There's other community centers around here, and I got in contact with some of them to really know what they offer and what is the need. So we saw what we could offer, what was the need, and we tried to adjust to what people could need actually in the area. I can't say that we fulfill everything that they need because we have our capacities too, but we're trying to give something that they don't have anywhere else. One of the things that I can give as an example is also about affordable cooking classes, mm-hmm. Vegetarian cooking classes, which usually are pretty expensive, so it's more affordable for the community. And also those classes that we offer for the youth. Right now in the area, we're the only one in the whole area that give those classes that are actually gets the kids, they get the kids certified by the Red Cross that they're mature enough to take care of themselves or other kids. Mm.
Now, I'm guessing if this area is like much of Quebec, there's a lot of disillusionment with religion. There's a lot of disinterest in institutional church. Is that correct?
That's correct. Actually, Quebec, I think, has been burnt by everything that is religious from the past. You know, they probably were, they were like probably abused by everything that was spiritual at that time. We don't talk of so many years, maybe 50, 60 years ago, they decided to come out of that. And of course, when you're hurt by something, sometimes you drop the whole thing. Right. So everything that relates to practicing a religion or believe in God, even sometimes for them, it's something that is not acceptable and they reject it. So I don't think they reject us as individuals, but they reject what it could mean for them to be involved into that. Yeah.
Right. So tell me a story of somebody whose life has been impacted in the community.
I always think about one of the members we had when we gave one of the sessions of the Depression Recovery Program. It was a young man that I guess struggled with that, and he shared about it a bit later on when we were doing the program. I'd been like struggling with it, like seeing different psychologists and spending money into that. It costs money. And he said after he did the program that this program changed his life. And he feels better. Of course, he's probably not perfect, but he feels a lot better and he can share it. And he came back a few times here at the center to get different services. I think recently we had more financial services in terms of trying to help people to learn how to budget their money. And this is some stuff that they can actually enjoy after they got better, because when you don't feel good, you can't access just to get better or to even try to be touched by something that is love. It's hard for them. So when you help them feel better by taking care of their health, their mental health or other needs that they would have, they're more easily accessible to something else that could also be the love of God.
Wonderful. So you're breaking down barriers.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for sharing with us today, Dr. Marianne. We appreciate what you've told us about how you are involved in the community here.
Well, that was a pleasure for me.
And viewers at home, a group of some 20 Adventists who caught a vision about church being more than just a place where you come to worship like an in-house club once a week, but somewhere to serve the community. Pray for this outreach in this community, and also pray that this vision will catch on with other Adventist communities to see what God can do through centers of influence. We'll be right back after this break. Next up, we travel to Sri Lanka to visit a hospital that has become a center of influence.
What was once a regular house quickly became an essential building in Sri Lanka. Thanks to the 13th Sabbath offering in 1959, the Adventist Church in Sri Lanka purchased a plot of land with a house on it in Kandy, a city in the central province of the island. The dream was to start much-needed medical work. The house served as a clinic with 2 physicians' offices, a treatment room, and a pharmacy. The clinic grew to be known as a hospital, and in 1967, another 13th Sabbath offering provided the funding to purchase the adjacent land to expand the hospital further. At the time, Lakeside Adventist Hospital was one of only 2 full medical care providers in Sri Lanka's second most populous city. Other 13th Sabbath offerings in 1972 and 1976 allowed for the hospital to construct a new building and expand its services. With the expansion came the need for additional staff, so a 2-year training course was started. In 2019, the hospital opened an urban center of influence to facilitate the hospital's outreach efforts, like stop smoking programs and community health screenings. This space is inclusive to everyone, regardless of religious background or social status. Many of the hospital staff and patients who are not Adventists love being a part of the activities. Over the past year, a core group of 30 people worship every Sabbath in the hospital chapel. So far, 10 have completed Bible studies and are waiting for baptism. All of this was possible because of your support of the 13th Sabbath offering. From the first offering they received in 1959, God has been leading this group to spread a message of hope in Sri Lanka. You can contribute to projects like this every quarter. Thank you for your prayers and support of the 13th Sabbath offering.
Welcome back to Quebec City, and behind me you can see the iconic Chateau Frontenac, which was built or completed in 1893, and it is reputedly the most photographed hotel in the world. Next up, we travel to Kyrgyzstan.
I'm here with Juan Kiroga, who is a missionary who has been serving in what we know as Central Asia, which includes the countries of Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan. Which of those countries were you in?
I was in Kyrgyzstan.
In Kyrgyzstan. Now, what were you doing in Kyrgyzstan?
Well, I was working as an assistant publishing director and as a marketing director.
A marketing director.
That's
so, what were you marketing?
You know, the Kyrgyzstan, as we all know, is a Islamic territory, and my duty was to try for the first time to introduce our health book in many bookstores, in business places, in hotel, anywhere that they could accept to sell our books.
So you were marketing health books.
Yes.
Which is, one of the wonderful things that the Adventist Church has is a health message. So how long were you there?
Well, we were in Kyrgyzstan for 3.5 years.
3.5 years.
Yes.
Now, this leads to the question of where did you come from?
Well, I was born in Cuba.
In Cuba.
Studied in Jamaica and lived for more than 18 years in Jamaica, and then I moved to the U.S. and started to work as an evangelist in different conferences. I attended Andrews University, I graduated, and then I made the choice to work as a missionary.
Okay, so why did you want to go as a missionary?
That was my
motivated?
passion since I was young. You know, I always wanted to be a missionary, to travel the world, to share the good news of salvation, to let people know that God still reigns in our life.
Now, do you know, are there any other, or have there been any other missionaries from Cuba? I'm pretty sure
Well,
not in recent years.
No. Actually, I was told by the General Conference that I am the first missionary in Central Asia and Islamic territory from Cuba.
Okay. So, now were you raised an Adventist? And how did you get from Cuba to the mission field?
Well, I was born in a Catholic family. My mother was Catholic, my father, my siblings, they were Catholic. And after I met a young person from the Seventh-day Adventist Church, he preached to me while traveling on the train. And from that day, I made the decision to study the Bible, to give my life to God, and to start a new life in Christ, you know.
Okay. And then from there you went and studied in Jamaica.
Well, after that, I was baptized into the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I became the lay activity leader, champion in my country. And then after that, I started to feel the call, you know, to do more for God, to be passionate about God. And then I wanted to study to be a pastor, but the opportunity presented itself in Jamaica. So I moved to Jamaica, I studied another Caribbean university, I graduated, and after that I worked as a pastor for a few years in Jamaica, and I decided to come to the US to do my master. And then I stayed here, and after I graduated from Andrews University, I received the invitation to work in Central Asia.
And that passion for mission was still in your heart.
That passion was awoken. When I got the invitation, it's like I wanted just to be there, just from the moment they called me, and I had to wait to do all the medicals and all of that. And when I got into the field, I say, you know, and now I am really in my domain, in something that I was passionate about, you know.
Right. So then, what kind of reception did you get to the health books in
Well, at the beginning, it was difficult because, you know, they were not acquainted with our health book. They didn't know about that. And an incident happened that really changed everything. You know, we believe that all things work together for good to those who love the Lord,
Yes.
right? I was trying to introduce during months our book in bookstore, in the libraries, in schools, anywhere I could get somebody to take our book and sell it, but everybody closed the door. And that day I went to the store to present the book, and I was with a translator because I didn't speak the language. I was new in the territory. And she was a young lady, and when we went into the store to introduce the book, the lady was reluctant, you know, but then two young men came and they asked me to go with them to a meeting that the imams were having. And the lady said to me, don't go. But, you know, they pressured her and they pressured me to go. So I went over there, and when I got into the place, these imam, they were sitting in the floor with a lot of food, tea, fruit, and I sat because they invited me to eat, and they asked me what I was doing in Kyrgyzstan. If I was an American, I said, no, I am not an American. They said, yes, you are an American. I said, no, I am from Cuba. So as soon as they hear that I was from Cuba, they asked me what was the name of the president of Cuba. So I told them the name of the president of Cuba, and they said, no, it's Fidel Castro. I said, no, Fidel Castro died many years ago. And then they asked me for Fidel's brother. I said, Raúl Castro. And then they say, yes, he's from Cuba. And then eventually they said to me, what are you doing? I said, listen, I am promoting healthy books, so that the Islamic people could serve Allah in the mightiest of their fitness, So I gave them the healing power of food. And when he opened it, God worked it out in such a way that he opened the page that talk about not eating pork and about, the sickness that we could get by eating pork and so forth. And they start to move their head like, wow, they were in agreement. And they passed the book to each other. And I was scared because I said, what information they may be reading right there. And in my fear, I was about to pull another book to distract them. And he said, no, it's not necessary. And then he said, you know what? He pulled a piece of paper, he stamped a sign on it, and he signed it, a stamp on it, and he signed it. And he said, anywhere you go, if they don't treat you right, just show them this sign and this stamp. I am the leader of the Imam here in Kyrgyzstan. And that stamp and that signature opened the door for me to put our Adventist health book in more than 38 places. I put it in hotels, restaurants, library, university, and opened the door for us to do seminary in the mall, in the huge mall that they have in Kyrgyzstan. Even in many universities, they opened the door for us to do expo about health. And we presented the program, I Want to Live Healthy. And it was a huge, huge new impact in the country.
Wonderful. That's an incredible story, Juan. Thank you so much for sharing that, for being with us. And it's wonderful to see how God has led your mission work.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
1, 2, 3, go. Walking to the glory of my Father, yeah. Gaining power and courage for each day. Living by His word for every moment. Shining from the source of light above. So shine, shine, shine with the courage from above. So the friends who come around you will receive the Maker's light. So shine, shine, shine. It is the Maker's will that has squeezes that we shine wherever we go. Let's get the courage. Being light to everyone, you should know that the blessings of the Lord is yours. Not to lose those blessings, you should hold on to the light that comes to you. So shine, shine, shine with the courage from above. So the friends who come around you will receive the Maker's light. So shine, shine, shine. It is the Maker's will. There are spaces that we shine wherever we go. Let's get the courage. So shine, shine, shine with the courage from above. So the friends who come around you will receive the Maker's light. So shine, shine, shine. It is the Maker's will. There are spaces that we shine wherever we go. Let's get the courage. So shine, shine, shine with the courage from above. So the friends who come around you will receive the Maker's light. Shine, shine, shine with the courage from above. So the friends who come around you will receive the Maker's light. So shine, shine, shine. It is the Maker's will. There are spaces that we shine wherever we go. Let's get the courage. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on today's program. And I hope that you've enjoyed your visit to Sri Lanka, to Kyrgyzstan. I hope that you've been challenged by the mission that we face in the cities. And I want to thank you for your continuing support for Adventist mission around the world, planting churches, starting new centers of influence, serving the community. Your prayers, your financial support, and your personal involvement do make a difference. And please continue to pray specifically for the challenge here in Quebec, Canada. For Adventist Mission, I'm Gary Krause, and I hope that you can join me next time right here on Mission 360.